God, Mitch, I'm sorry. I was just so surprised to see you standing there.
Not as surprised as I was.
You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You've got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You've got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You've got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at.
CJ, it's beautiful up here. You gotta love it, huh?
I know it's beautiful, but I miss the beach. You should come back to Baywatch.
All right. Hello there. Welcome back. We are here. We're on the shore. We're on the bay. In our tower, we got the phone off the hook.
We're Baywatching.
Baywatching
All day
podcast
long.
here all day long. I'm Andrew.
I'm Bill.
And we're here for another lovely episode to discuss one of our favorite shows.
Baywatch.
Oh, I thought this was Deep Space Nine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that's tomorrow
Oh,
night.
shit.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It's okay. You've seen Baywatch, though, right? Haven't you, Drew?
Yeah, I guess I see. We could talk about it, yeah.
Okay. All right. Good, good.
The episode in question, The Drowning Pool, right?
Yes. That's
So,
the
of
one we
course,
watched.
that's when we watched it. Aired on November 3rd, 1989. It was a Friday under the sign of Scorpio, blah, blah, blah. Same conservative leadership, same pope, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it's funny, amazing how little happens on a given day. Because here I'm looking up what happened on this day,
Yeah.
Bill, and just like nothing happened. It's amazing how little happens. It's amazing anything happens ever. You know,
The
when I'm
post
looking...
office wasn't named? Nothing?
Nothing. And we've been watching this show for like 10 consecutive days, 10 weeks.
There wasn't like a... You didn't have some crazy... Wasn't there... Nothing?
Nothing. The craziest thing was that guy who, remember from the first episode of Champagne
That's
Bottle.
what I remember. That's what I
broke.
was going to say. Nothing crazy like that happened?
That's all we got. Yeah, the only
Okay.
thing we got is like Jack Lemmon and Ted Danza were in a movie together. That's it. That's all we have that day.
Well,
It was released. and
now we all
everyone
have
was
a movie
watching
to
it.
watch.
Yeah, it's like Fatherhood or something. I don't know. 1989.
That doesn't sound that good.
But before we start, though, too, Bill, I have to give you this thing that something came in the mail to me. I have a document
Whoa,
here.
I
You
wouldn't
guys
open
can't.
that.
Yeah, I'm gonna open it
Careful.
here. I'm gonna show.
Careful.
I already saw
We have a
it.
mailbag.
I've already,
Zip.
huh? It's in a. Well, you know, it came in a bucket of water, and I've just preserved it in this. Here, there's a little bit of like seaweed in there,
What?
which you don't have to look at, but and it's hard to read probably. But you can you can see here that it's addressed to the Baywatch pod. It's soaked, Bill. But it's a letter. It's addressed to Baywatch pod. It's
I
from
don't
law
like this.
offices of Triton and Pontus. I wonder you could open it, Bill, too. You
Triton.
could describe it a little too to our viewers who can't see it. Yeah,
Well, it's definitely soaked.
it came in a bucket of
Smells like-
salt water.
Yeah, smells like it. Oh,
Bill's
I ripped
opening
it
it.
a little bit.
Yeah, I know it's fragile. You know, I can recount it to you if you destroy it. It's hard to open. You know,
Watching pod. Uh-oh.
that's the front. Yeah, you kind of. It's like kind of you have to open. You want me to open it?
Go ahead.
Let me
Drew.
open it because I've done it. It's fragile. Bill's inspecting this very wet letter that I
A
received.
cease and desist order.
Yeah, see, yeah,
It's a cleverly spelled cease and desist order.
right.
God damn it.
Cease and desist, right? Like SEAS.
Oh, no. Someone is telling us something.
Something's telling us something. I'm not sure. I mean, this could just be a prank, you know. But it's covered in salt water. We got a cease and desist order from law offices of what is it? Trident and what's that other word on the top there that came from Bill? I don't know. It's on the other side. Pungent.
So, it seems like Baywatch's lawyers have some weird mail delivery techniques.
I guess.
I mean,
yeah.
Who is this from? Baywatch?
I mean, maybe it's
Who would
from.
this be from?
I don't know. I shudder to think that this could be from the ocean itself, or it's represent. It has lawyers, obviously. What Trident?
Why
and,
would it be from? I mean,
Trident and Pontus?
why would the ocean be trying to stop us? Because we're exposing it?
I don't know. It could be a prank. This all could just be. We could all just be chalked up to a prank here, Bill.
It very well could be the ocean, though. We have been talking a lot about how it's been right in Baywatch.
Right.
Your theory was pretty spot on the other day.
Right. But let's not pay too much mind to it.
Or I'm a little confused. Now I don't know if I should trust you, though. Or maybe you just did this to try to advance your theory.
You're thinking I could have done this, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you don't realize the depth of
It
this.
was mailed to you only.
You're right.
I don't know about this.
Well, we're gonna have.
I'll have to see.
We're gonna
Your
have.
theory was convincing, but now I'm not so sure.
We're gonna have to see. Yeah. Thankfully, this episode isn't really about the ocean, so we can. We don't have to worry about any more threats.
This one also has a lot of misleading deception. That's why I don't know if I can trust you, because I don't want to make the same mistake that our heroes did early on in this episode with the villain.
Right. Do you have
with who they thought was the villain?
who they thought was the villain? Right.
Yeah.
Do you have your short synopsis? I have my. Or are you just gonna do it off the top of your
I forgot we
head?
have to do that again.
Bill does off the top of his head. I'll do mine.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine is I retitled the episode instead of Drowning Pool because it's like like Baywatch happens beside the ocean, which is the drowning pool. Like that could be any episode of Baywatch. So I retitled the episode Fake It Till You Make It. And here's my synopsis. After an old guy with a heart implant dies in the surf, Jill fakes being an investigator, and the new guy, Fred, fakes being a lifeguard. Meanwhile, Mitch and Sergeant Ellerby fake like they care about any of it.
That was pretty good, Drew. All right. Well, that was a lot of pressure on me. Mine is not very good here. Mine is mostly just murder for money, and this guy just can't help but pretend to be someone he's not.
I like it. That's good. That's good. And that plays into what I want to talk about in the themes of the episode, which, I'll jump into right away because I have random notes, which we could just get into at the end because they're random, But let's first get into Fake It Till You Make It. That's the title of my episode, Bill.
That's a much better title. What was the episode of this one again?
Drowning Pool.
Drowning Pool. Yeah, what the fuck? They were never in a pool. He drowned in the ocean.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. That's stupid. Is the ocean a big pool?
I guess
Is that what
it
they're
is
saying?
the big pool. It's the drowning
so
pool.
Dumb.
Like,
so dumb.
the
so
most
dumb.
people have drowned in
No,
that
but there
pool.
are pools there, like in the club, in the rich people club that he was a member of.
Right.
The
Is
guy
there
who
some
drowned.
mysterious pool that we
So
don't know
dumb.
about that is the
Yeah.
drowning pool?
It's
that
so misleading.
it's terrible.
No, your episode title much better. Fake It Till You Make It should have been the title.
So I wanted that to be the title. And Bill, is an aphorism that I have been a fan of for some time. I like this aphorism, like the best way to learn something is to throw yourself into a thing, perhaps.
I like it too. I find myself, I've said it a few times after I first heard it. I've found myself finding it true at times.
Right? And, fear is a component for sure, but no matter what, fear is a component. And for me, fear can be an obstacle to doing. But if I just fake it, fake that I can do, then I'll meet that fear head on as I engage in action rather than letting the fear keep me from being disengaged. If that
Okay.
makes any sense. It's
Yeah.
a long-winded way of saying faking being something is sometimes a way of learning how to do something.
Right. Yeah, because you and I both suffer a little bit from paralysis from analysis
There you go.
oftentimes.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to just be like, you know what? I'm just going to, even though I feel like I maybe don't know enough to get into this because we always want to be experts and like know everything before we even put ourselves out there into something. It's like, no, I'm just going to have to go out there and just pretend like I know or just like put on the front. You have to do it in your career a lot of times,
Right. Or
in any career, in the band,
right.
as a lawyer, whatever
Right.
you're doing,
Right. And so many,
as a teacher.
even like in my relationships and stuff, or sometimes, right, it's like you just want it to be a certain way. Like, I just want us to be close. And so sometimes I just have to fake that, like, because I'm uncomfortable with talking about stuff that makes me uncomfortable.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when I'm in that situation, I
Yeah.
almost have to, like, remind myself, like, nope, like, yes, it hurts, but you're in this relationship. So fake like you can talk about this painful shit.
Yeah, or when you're like trying to show somebody something, you're trying to teach someone like this like math, like calculus, and like you don't understand it, and they're not understanding it.
Oh, yeah.
And you just make it up.
Yeah, you just make up. Yeah,
Yeah, you just tell them that it's cosine equals X always.
right,
Because except for when it's raining outside.
right,
Because they're little kids and they're dumb.
right. And then you just send them off on their way
Yeah.
to their medical degree. You know, where they're becoming brain
Yeah.
surgeons, and
And then you
just work on that same
and you
principle.
fake
of making
it
shit
until
up.
you make it.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll make it all the way to a successful career as a teacher
Yes.
or whatever.
Yeah,
you want.
it sounds like
So-
you're detecting that there's could be a negative to this, even though we're talking about how I like it. Because as an artist, I think it's relatively
Oh yeah, no.
harmless,
Of
right?
course, like taken to the extreme, any
Right.
of these things
Anything.
are foolish. But
right.
I was just joking. But yes,
Here's a thing about a quote about faking it. We had a character in this episode too. I described Jill and Fred being fakers till they makers. But here's a quote from.
how is Jill a faker?
Well, we talk about it, but we'll talk about it. But William James, author of The Gospel of Relaxation. You heard of this book, Bill?
no.
Well, let me tell you what he says.
Why would I have heard of this book?
You're real good at relaxing. But he says action seems to follow feeling, but really action and feeling go together. And by regulating the action, which is under the more direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling, which is not. Thus, the sovereign, voluntary path to cheerfulness, if our spontaneous cheerfulness be lost, is to sit up cheerfully, to look around cheerfully, to act and speak as if cheerfulness was already there. If such conduct does not
Yeah.
make you soon feel cheerful, nothing else on that occasion can. So to feel brave, act as if we are brave. Use all our will to that end. And a
Okay.
courage fit will likely replace a fit of fear.
Okay, here's how I think about that. My first inclination is, there's some truth to that. Like, definitely, like they say, like if you just kind of smile more, you'll feel happier. Stuff like that. I think they've even kind of proven maybe in some studies. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then I get a little worried when you go too far. Like
Right.
we're talking about going too far and shit.
Right.
Like because then I'm like, well, then you get into some secret shit.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
just message just like a vision boarded out and
Oh.
everything will be fine. And I'm like, oh no.
You
Now we're getting a little too much.
I think you are being attracted exactly to where I wanted you to be. There is perhaps some law that is drawing you towards the subject matter.
God damn.
Have you heard about the law of attraction, Bill?
Well, here's what I want to say. Is it written by the same guy who wrote the Laws of Power, the 41 Rules of Power?
I don't know that. I don't know what that is.
It's is it
Is that-
Robert
is that a
Greene?
Ferengi?
Is there like a book? No.
Oh.
No, it's a book. It's like this book that Brian Lane, our good friend, who's now a right wing dude in Colorado.
Oh, I don't know.
He gave it to me, I think, or no, maybe it wasn't Brian. No, it wasn't Brian. It was like this other guy in like community college. He gave it to me, but he was all like, "It's good stuff." But he has all these like 51 rules of power, like things you should do. It's like all Machiavellian shit, and like I don't know, not very. I don't know, shit I was into, but anyways, like, but I think he also wrote a book like Rules of Attraction, 51 Rules of Attraction or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
He might be peripherally related. Like
To
I
this
don't.
movement or something.
Yeah, like I don't know
Okay.
a whole lot
So
about
the laws of attraction, the law of
it.
attraction,
The law of attraction. Yeah, and I'm
the law.
to know a little bit about more about my background too. I'm a hippy dippy yogi meditator. So I've heard about law of attraction just being in like different yoga classes or whatever, right? The community, and in the community of new thought spiritual movement, the law of attraction is like a pseudoscience based on the belief that positive or negative thoughts bring about positive or negative experiences into one's life. The beliefs based on ideas that people and their thoughts are made from pure energy, and that a process of like energy attracting like energy exists through which a person can improve their health, their wealth, even their personal relationships. There is, Bill, no empirical scientific evidence supporting the law of attraction, and it's widely considered to be fake.
Well, yeah.
There's
It's like the fucking what's that prosperity gospel? It's like the same shit.
right.
give me all your money to the church, and good things will happen to you.
Exactly.
Because God will reward you.
Right.
It's the same stupid shit. It's just for hippies
Right.
who don't believe in God. Or maybe they're spiritual.
Right. Pseudoscience. So, a Psychology Today article talks about law of attraction in this way, that to invoke the law of attraction, you need to live continuously in an unreal future as you anticipate that it will be. And as you anticipate that future will be once you've achieved your goal, and only visualize a successful outcome. This shows faith in the universe when you act this way. Thinking about plans, actions, or challenges are discordant and negative. So skip that process and focus on the result. Live without regard to the present,
Whoa. So they're like, just live as if you've already achieved what's your goal, like ideal success is.
Because remember that negative thought is going to produce a negative reality.
So any struggle to achieve that thing. So say my ultimate goal is to become a really badass trial lawyer in environmental tort law and take down these oil companies on behalf of different poor communities, and then I do that, and we win all this money for these poor communities. That's my goal. How would I live that goal now?
You shouldn't in the law of attraction, because
how would I live as if I've already attained that?
You would you're right. How would you? I guess you would just every day dress up as a lawyer and just pretend like you're advocating for people. Say no, I'm already doing it. And if you're already doing it well enough and just believing that you're it well enough, it will manifest and you will be that,
Even though right now I'm just a paralegal working on slip and fall cases.
Yeah, but actually much of the literature of law of attraction specifically says avoid being a lawyer, avoid a job where you have to think about poverty.
Oh wow.
Avoid a job where you have to think about people's well-being.
So how would
a
mine
doctor
work? Because
or
the thing
psychologist.
that I want to do is that.
You're just going to continue to attract negative shit.
You can't be that. No lawyer can be happy.
Yeah, their lives are just going to suck.
Their lives will always just suck.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm just going to have a sucky life. It's the price sacrifice. See, I'm even more noble. That's why.
Exactly.
Even better.
Yeah, you're noble because you're doing a thing that's just going to make your life suck. Yeah.
Exactly, but someone has to do it on behalf because there are corporate lawyers out there. So
Right.
you have to fight them.
Right.
There have to be non-corporate lawyers on the other side.
So you're noticing that idea of it's this action, if you take action in any way, that's actually negative because you're yearning for something in the future.
Right.
You
And
know?
there's going to be a struggle for something often.
Right.
If you want to get in shape, you have to go and run around the block.
Right.
You have to, and that's going to be more difficult than because you haven't done it.
Right.
The first time you do something, it's going to be a challenge. First time we did this podcast, it was a challenge.
Right. And it's still, But, like you're saying, it's discouraging. You're how would a lawyer work that way? And I'm telling you, they're discouraging lawyers or doctors or psychologists. And they're even discouraging community to the extent where it's if you are an alcoholic, or if you're you need support in some way and need to talk about something you're going through, the act of talking about it is a negative is negative and is going to attract negative ramifications to your life.
Yeah. Don't think about that.
So
Don't
it's
deal
very-
with your problems, basically.
Right. It's very individualistic.
It's a little bit like how our friend Kevin is living.
What it reminded me of, and Kevin related, Jordan Peterson is,
yeah.
it's what's going on in the world. It may seem crazy, but you need to make sure your room is clean and just make sure you're focusing on what's going on around you. Set up your life around you in a positive way
before you start trying to change the world.
Yeah, and it's connected to lift yourself up by your bootstraps. It's a right wing. To me, it's connected to right wing ideology. Ignore the community. Think about yourself, the individual, and just do the American dream. Pull yourself up.
While we give white people a bunch of land and,
Right.
and handouts.
So law of attraction to me is connected to that because it's nope, just sit in your room and have your vision board, like you said, that has a picture of $1 million. Act and live like you've got $1 million, and that will be what you get. And it just kind of shitty and upsetting to me.
Right.
Lift yourself up and improve your own productivity is the goal versus like be well, know yourself, connect to yourself and your feelings and the people around you, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, it's sad because mental health is this thing in our world right now that is poorly neglected, like in terms of in a broad sense, you know, and the future of mental health care seems like it should be like community led.
Well, yeah.
It should be reflective, self-reflective, and it should be intersectional, meaning just like all different kinds of people, right? Need to be involved in it. It's a future of questioning the systems and the structures that we live in. So if we're not questioning that, if a mode of
and a lot of people
wellness is telling you to not question the structures around you, that seems like it could be problematic.
Well, and I think too, a lot of people find meaning and like happiness and like purpose out of like working within one of the institutions or structures that we have in our society to like make it better,
right?
Or like to make it function better to serve like you know a more altruistic goal.
Of course, but this isn't even like. This is just even discouraging thinking that like the criminal justice system is problematic. It's not even saying like, it's saying of course if you're working within it, you can't possibly be living healthily. Like you're going to bring a bunch of negative shit to you. It's even saying like if you sit on your couch and think about that maybe it's unjust. It's discouraging even that. And that's why I'm drawing it to like Jordan Peterson, where it's like, well, don't even think about progressive movements.
Right. So everybody should just be a philosophy professor.
No, because he just quit his job. You should just be an armchair professor who talks about people lifting themselves up and discourage them thinking
like
about the environment they live in.
It's like goop, like Gwyneth Paltrow shit, like where it's like, okay, yeah, that's great if nobody has to work and everybody can just hang out on the beach and like eat fucking $40 brunches every fucking, you know, it's like, yeah, if that's all you have to do, and then you can do that happily while like other people are starving to death,
right?
And like that doesn't that seems fucking evil to me, dude. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like that's fucking seems. That's why I'm like that. You're just as evil as these other people,
right?
As the fucking other capitalists out there.
That's what I mean. Law of attraction is a capitalist grift. It seems a lot like
you right.
know? And god damn it, I thought we weren't going to talk about it, but it sounds like maybe the ocean could be a little bit behind the law of attraction, you know? At least it might be attracted to it. But you know, there you go. I'm just thinking the time, obviously, we really need to adopt more of like a mainstream approach to mental health that is more, like we said, all of the stuff before.
Yeah.
You know, it takes into account stuff that has been too expensive previously or has just been problematic that doesn't actually help people to grow better. You know, let's fund the police instead. Let's fund the police.
Why don't we just have regular mental health checkups even?
Right. Because if
you
we
get
don't,
a PCP doctor, like, you know, and just have like a regular therapist that you can go to and check into at least once a year or twice a year.
Like there is in other countries. You know what I mean? Like, but if we don't do it here, we're just going to have more, you know, QAnon shaman shit. And people like Fred, you know, and I say the QAnon shaman thing because I mentioned I'm a yoga person or whatever.
Right.
You know, there's always, what is the QAnon slogan? Do you know it? Where we go one.
Oh, yes.
We go all.
Yeah.
And in a little bit of my reading, like I heard someone describe, it's like, that's yoga. Like, because yoga in Sanskrit or whatever, right? Union. Loose translation, yoga is togetherness, is union. We're all together, right? And so if we're all in this thing together, where we go one, we go all, Bill. And in terms of yoga, there's always this other thing like bodily sovereignty, right? Where it's just like, you know what, like the powers that be, they don't know what's good for your body and your health. Like you need to learn different ways of taking care of your health. I'm not discouraging all of these ways of thinking. And in fact, in some ways, you and I both, there are ways that we take care of ourselves where like people should know about this and nobody teaches it. And there's fast food joints everywhere and there's food deserts to encourage unhealthiness, you know? But in the yoga community and stuff, this has tended to connect with like anti-vax, has tended to connect with like a fascism in a sense that you wouldn't, I was a little surprised about. Like I didn't usually associate these people because I just assumed everyone's like left-leaning progressive, you know?
Right.
But it's this idea that like law of attraction we're talking about, like individual pull yourself up by your bootstraps, all the shit that the ocean and capitalists are progressing is like isolate yourself, become unwell, and if you can't figure it out, something's wrong with you.
Right.
You know?
And it's
ignore all of the violence that the people in power are doing.
It's the ocean's other way of getting the people who aren't gotten by capitalism. The people who reject Baywatch and won't watch Baywatch because it's too much capitalist TV garbage.
Right.
They'll be into law of attraction, woo-woo, you know.
Right.
Goop shit.
Right.
And then they get that's the other side of the sword.
And it's a little bit of truth because there is there's a lot of stuff around us though that we can't trust in terms of like looking out for our well-being, you know? And so you go to these places where it's like, oh yeah, take it into your own hands, and then there's that danger of like, now I don't trust. Now I think COVID is a pandemic.
Yeah. No, it is, because it's like you should do your own research to a degree, but then like a lot of times, honestly, what that own research is going to be looking at the experts and weighing and learning how to evaluate that. And like, that's what people can't understand sometimes.
Right.
Or,
they research it like I research for this podcast where it's like, I have this idea that I want to get across. Now let me go find a bunch of research to supplement it.
Right.
Because it'll be funny.
Right.
But for them, they're like, no, because I'm going to sell my like anti-vax powder and do my anti-vax meditation yoga and sell that.
Right.
You know what I mean? To these bodily sovereignty people who are like, I don't want anyone to tread on my precious bodily fluids.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's the craziest thing.
And it is, because it is an irrational, like emotional, like belief just as much as like, you know, anything else is, or like a belief of you know, that, like God or something, or religion or anything like that. It is like, it's just like, and now I'm going to go and prove it. And like, there's really nothing to prove. So all you're doing is just trying to find stuff that reaffirms this opinion you have, but it's like, you can't really prove it. It's just,
and what I want to say about all that stuff that you're talking about too,
there's just a philosophy that you can have about it. And like, I think that you're wrong about it because there's like a bigger, more, and it seems so weird because they're all about the connectiveness, but it's like, well, now by not doing this, you're fucking up the whole connectiveness of humanity.
Well, the term is like mindfulness for a lot of different practices, like meditation or yoga, or getting in touch with your own feelings and stuff in your body. And it's like, to me, all that stuff we're describing, like law of attraction, selling shit, grifting shit, Jordan Peterson doing all of this stuff to act like you're taking care of people, but it's just to enrich yourself or control people, is mindless. You know, it's mindlessness. You know, it's like it's completely mindless. Because encouraging you, like how a lot of people relate to religion, will be to justify and ignore all the negative things that are going on in the world that we're talking about, how like the ocean wants us to do. So that's like me thinking like that's where the ocean got behind the Catholic Church. Like the ocean's like, don't pay attention to babies being fucked by priests. You know, the ocean's way down for that. In the Hindu church, it's the same thing. You know, in the yoga community, the ocean's like, yes, like bring in people to do yoga and take care of themselves, but then shit all over the community by fucking them and taking advantage of them, like Harvey Weinstein.
And
you know, it's like it's capitalism. It's the ocean. Oh God,
and it's because
I didn't want to bring it back there because we got that letter,
and that's why, you know, it's because it wants to bring a oneness too about. To the world. Exactly.
It's all about yoga.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's like, that's like another level when it's talking about the oneness. It's like, oh yeah, oneness of like no more humans and everything's underwater. Oneness.
And
fucking ocean.
We know
God damn it.
We know.
Cease and desist my ash. Although I'm not really sure if I buy that, though, Drew.
Well, we're going to see what happens to ourselves in this future. But, you know, if the ocean's behind it all, if the ocean behind Baywatch, and if the ocean behind this episode of Baywatch, I wondered, what does that mean Fred is telling us then? Because we were saying law of attraction seems like a capitalist grift, and it's not helpful. But the message is sneaky, because in the show, you wondered about Jill being a faker, and I'll tell you, it's sneaky. The show seemingly tells us, just keep following your whims and your dreams and just being positive and living in the moment and pretend. And if you keep focused on pretending to be what you are, you know, you'll get what you deserve, even if your dreams are fast changing. Like one day you want to be a fireman, the next day a councilman, the next day a nursery worker, then a tree surgeon, just like Fred, right? You'll eventually just come out with what you want. Like Fred might have engaged in a bunch of numerous criminal activities, but at the end of the day, he law of attractions himself, just positive manifest himself into being able to get one up on Mitch. He gives Mitch a ticket. And Jill fakes herself into being an investigator the whole time. Mitch is like, let it go. There's nothing here. And she's like, no, I'm an investigator. And she just fakes her way into getting one up on Mitch, too. Because in the end, she's right. And Mitch has to eat a little humble pie, if you remember, you know? So the show, Baywatch, this episode is telling us, no, fake it till you make it. Law of attraction yourself. Engage in these grifts that isolate you and keep you from questioning your environments or asking about how maybe the world could be better for the communities around you and yourself. You know, it's engaging in those.
So
same
you're
techniques.
saying it promotes a fake it to you. Oh my gosh! So you're saying that the ocean purposely wrote the plot to promote a fake it till you make it mentality
Right.
to an extreme point, which we have now demonstrated leads to like almost like that kind of fascist yoga belief of like rejecting all like science and then to pseudosciences like the law of attraction,
Right.
which is basically fake it till you make it taken to an extreme.
Right.
So you have, and then that just leads you down this path of basically,
Storming the Capitol, Bill.
Yeah.
It leads you to, I mean, really.
yeah.
It leads you to storming the Capitol and then going to prison and demanding a vegan diet.
And then
'Cause you're a
destroying
yogi?
and creating more destruction upon the human, you know, the
Yeah.
systems that we have, the to keep.
And you know how it's like, yeah, you're right, because you're talking about how the destruction it creates on the systems. Like, it creates destruction in terms of our media and how it's
So you think the
transmitted.
ocean
it creates
was
destruction in our political system because it's these people storming the Capitol and fucking up the integrity and people have in our system.
right?
And it fucks up like the wellness world that really is out there to help people. Because I'm not saying like I meditate. And they say
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
It keeps
focusing
people from
from
because we
actually
could
connecting to things that
Exactly.
could help them.
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And building those institutions that could help us.
Right. And this whole narrative, this whole law of attraction, you know, it's
it makes it
convenient.
into that.
It's convenient again for people who are in power and like structures of wealth that want to maintain those structures of
And
wealth.
it makes
hurts
selfish
society at
and-
large.
yeah.
And the ocean is always down for that, you know? Law of attraction is individualistic and opposed to engaging with community. It's even opposed to action. It helps gurus and grifters to grime up. By fake promising peace and wellness, it sabotages the true need for wellness with capitalistic ends, you know? But like I said, it's not all bullshit. Meditation, chanting, just working out, just any, you know, art therapy, all of this stuff. We know that it actually has been proven to help people's well-being,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so maybe the ocean just doesn't get true wellness. Or maybe it's evil and is sending us letters and is trying to sabotage wellness to distract us all. You know, we know it dabbles in art, but we know it's shitty at art and is only doing art, it seems, to
Like Baywatch.
to distract us. Maybe
And promote these types of mentalities amongst society and
Right.
culture.
But I think we have the upper hand. Maybe we can we can create some community. If you're listening, Ocean, maybe we can create some community with
Hey,
you and help
listeners.
you grow. We can help us grow together. Not grow the way you want to grow, Ocean, you know, but you know, it does seem like you care about people a little, Ocean. I mean, in this episode,
Now you're talking to the ocean.
yeah,
you're
you
pleading to it?
delivered that guy a wetsuit in this episode, Ocean. Remember that old homeless man? The
Yeah,
Ocean
that is
delivered him,
true. That
you
is
know?
true. That was very nice of you. I saw him in that wetsuit. I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so much warmer.
Right. So
Okay,
anyway,
maybe-
Ocean.
Yeah, no, and he did help those kids out in the other episode.
Right.
Okay.
You know,
sometimes
and-
he helps.
Maybe
He's all right. I don't know. The smoke monster in Lost wasn't always the bad guy.
Right. Now you're right. But maybe the ocean's not the bad guy. We're just getting into this. We'll see.
We'll
But-
find out more.
Let me just give you my random notes now, Bill. We've learned a little bit. Here's my little shooters as a wrap up. Basically, we had another instance of cop versus lifeguards where lifeguards win because the cops are saying like, "Hey, man, like, remember cop brought a wetsuit." Mitch is like, "We don't."
You didn't play the clip of him with Aretha Franklin.
I'm going to close out with a choice little clip here. Yeah, but
Okay.
cops win. Watch the episode, figure it out. There's also a normalization of male gaze that happened with Fred at the very beginning when he goes into the the Baywatch headquarters, and he's looking at
Shawnee, in the shower.
Yeah, and it's just played off as like, yeah, crazy Fred. Like, that's what
Yeah.
men do. You just look at people.
He's like, whoa, hey, I'm
just
going
thought it
to
was
stand
like-
here and perv out on this girl in the shower.
It was gross, yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
But it also made me think about the workplace, because that's their workplace.
Yeah.
And someone that we've talked about a little bit would not like this workplace. And that person is, well, let me play him for you, Bill.
Like what? Here's a rule.
Don't
How about
you-
no makeup in the workplace?
Why would that be a rule?
Why should you wear makeup in the workplace? Isn't that sexually provocative?
No.
It's not?
No.
Well, what is it then? What's the purpose of makeup?
Some people would like to just put on makeup.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why do
people
you make
put
your
on-
lips red? Because they turn red during sexual arousal. That's why. Why do you put rouge on your cheeks? Same reason.
I mean, look.
How about high heels?
What
are they
What
for?
about high heels?
What about them? They're there to exaggerate sexual attractiveness. That's what high heels do. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't use sexual displays in the workplace. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that that is what they're doing. And that is what they're doing.
Do you feel like a serious woman who does not want sexual harassment in the workplace, do you feel like if she wears makeup in the workplace that she is somewhat being critical?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do think that.
So, I don't think he would be too fond of the workplace in Baywatch, because they're wearing those bathing suits not because they need to engage with, like, saving of lives. It's just to stimulate sexual activity in the men around them. They should be wearing, what is it, pilgrim outfits, like swimming around in, like, you know what I mean? Like Amish outfits.
Yeah, all women really.
All women
should be in
just be in
burqas.
them, yeah.
According to like Jordan Peterson's philosophy, or else they're all inviting
Right?
sexual harassment.
It's that same story of
And-
just like, oh, it's the woman's fault if it ever happens.
Well,
like,
yeah.
it's because they dared to be.
Well, and
to
he's
feel
so
good.
stupid because it's like he says the same thing then about men with like or I think later on in the interview he says like this clip in that interview where he says like the same thing about men for like wearing ties or something like that to make them look more slim or something. It's like, okay, yeah, but the problem is that like, yeah, men do that to make themselves look
Right.
more attractive, sure,
Right.
but like then like men will go and like sexually harass women in the workplace.
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, both do it. That's not you just fucking deflated your stupid point, you dumb fuck.
Right. Well, and it's
And,
always
like-
that's the veiled. What it is just he's
and they're
just
like,
trying to
oh,
justify.
men and women can't work together. It's like, no, they could. It's like it doesn't. And it's like his whole point about the gender pay gap or something. Like how he would just be like, well, no, it's just that men and women get paid equal because of the women like to do more caring roles like nurses and caregivers, and men like to do more technical roles like engineers, like lawyers. And it's like, well, no, that's a problem then. The problem is that like the roles that women gravitate to, we don't pay as much.
Right.
Like that's still a fucking problem
Right.
then. Like that's still something that maybe like we should discuss and not just like, oh, leave it at that.
Right.
Like-
Well, because it's always just the point isn't to really expose anything other than to just maintain
The
that,
status
like,
quo.
Yeah, the patriarchy.
Yeah,
whatever.
fucking-
is,
yeah,
it's all
to
okay.
justify it.
It's all justifiable.
Yeah, to
right?
naturalize it because we can never fucking move beyond it.
Right.
Like, oh no, it's just the natural order. It's not a
Right.
product of human history.
Right. I bet the ocean embraces Jordan Peterson's
Oh,
boats.
hell yeah.
All hard when he's on the water, sailing to Russia for some mystery experimental treatment that puts him in a coma for 3 years. His quote, "We don't know if men and women can work together successfully in the workplace." I can't. That was terrible. That was like
I know,
a
it's hard to do it sometimes.
Usually I can do it, but yeah. So, and then now to pick on like a woman in the show, like, but this is all written by men. So Fellini is only good for the sexy Italian dudes in the show. Shawnee was trying to make Jill feel better. And she's like, come over to my house. Like, we'll rent a Fellini movie. Because the Italian dudes have such sexy accents. Like, because Shawnee is like a ditzy, duddy,
Yeah.
we know. I
Yeah.
just love that, like, she watches, like, one of the greatest, like, Italian directors just
I know.
because
I
the
thought that was
men
funny.
look a little sexy.
I know.
It's like,
I thought that was like kind of a little weird too,
Yeah.
but also yeah, it was kind of cute.
yeah, it's cute. It is, it's
They're
just,
trying to be cute.
it's cute.
Give the writers that, Drew.
I'll give it to them, And we have a new type of montage in this
Oh yeah, that was some weird montages
show.
in this
Yeah,
one.
but I'm gonna title it because usually the montage we have I'm gonna call like the on the nose montage, where it's just a song that's describing exactly what's transitioning the plot or what a character is going through, right?
I do those.
And this new montage I'm gonna call the sad on the rocks contemplative.
Flashback.
Yeah, slash flashback. Yeah, because it's demonstrating and moving the story along still, but it's reminding you of what this character's been through.
Yeah.
What they're struggling with right now.
And they want to make it very clear, like, she's sad, and she's sad because remember this thing happened?
Right.
That's what she's thinking about right now on these rocks.
Right.
Or splice some scenes.
Right.
It was, like, really cheesily done.
Right.
And Jigin was like, she was commenting on that one, like, being super weird and cheesy.
And I know we're gonna see him again, Bill. So
Oh, I'm sure there'll be more flashback montages. Sat on the rocks.
yeah. Any notes that you
And
have?
then there was
before
a
we
dating
montage out?
conversation montage.
Yeah.
Yeah, where like, Jill and like the guy who we were first supposed to like think was the murderer, like one cousin or like a son who we thought we were supposed to think was the murderer.
That's Derek.
Was that Derek?
Yeah.
Who we were supposed to think was the murderer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Derek. And like, yeah, when Jill and Derek went on a date, that was like our little other montage. It was kind of weird because you heard their date conversation like over it.
I'm
Like,
gonna classify
spliced in.
it technically as the same. It's part of the new montage that I've determined that
It's
on
kind
the
of
rocks,
same, yeah.
or you can say on the shore. It's the coastal montage,
Yeah.
the coastal reflective montage.
And it was at night. Yeah, it was an evening. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. And like you mentioned, like off air, I think we were talking about how like they kind of set that character up a little weird. Like he like was doing all this stuff that just didn't make sense if he wasn't the villain. If he wasn't
Right.
actually trying to cover something up, then why would he be behaving in that suspicious manner? It was like a Simpsons joke.
Right. It just takes you out of the story, your suspension of disbelief, because you feel the hand of the writing where it's like, oh, they want me to believe and feel that this is the villain. And the payoff is that they were just tricking you. Like,
Yeah.
not that, like, the story or the world is interesting and mysterious and surprised you, but
Yeah.
that the writers were just like, oh, fooled you.
Yeah.
It's just like the writers had a bucket of water above your door and we're trying to prank you like the ocean might.
Yeah,
And
it was like, and it wasn't that. It was like because it was really,
gag.
it was really recent that he was like insistent about the tape. He was like, we have to watch. It's like, why are you being so weird about this tape and pushy and like acting this other way? And then, oh wait, it wasn't you. It was this other guy who
It was your
apparently
cousin
and
Chuck.
who supposedly had no motive because he was like, well,
Yeah.
I have the company, and this is the other weird thing because he was like, well, I have the company, I get to like be president of the company or whatever, no matter what happens to him, dead or alive.
Yeah.
So like I had no motive. And they're like, well, I guess he was just saying that like all vocal to the cop to throw him off, but. The mother who's there is sitting right there. So you would think that she would know how that shit works, the stepmom,
Yeah.
like how that shit works. And like she would be able to confirm that if that wasn't true, she
Yeah.
would like say something or be like, no. So like, it seems
I-
like that was true. So like,
We're-
you wonder what his motive really
We're
was.
getting into the weeds again, where we're actually talking
I know,
about
but the episode,
which I hate to do.
Let's end.
No, but I think I have the answer. Like,
Oh, okay.
'cause I watched it twice. This one.
okay.
I think his motive was to sabotage, obviously kill the father.
But what was the motive
sabotage-
of it?
Huh?
What was the motive for the killing?
That's what I'm saying. I think. Well, he wanted money. He wanted control of the business. And here's what I'm
But
saying.
he already was president.
No, but there was like someone stood to inherit like all
That
this
was
money.
Derek.
And it was Derek, and then it would be the mom, and what he wanted to do when I rewatched it, I think,
Okay.
was like sabotage Derek by planting the gear, and then sabotage the mom by being like, oh, she got diving lead. I think he wanted to throw them both under the bus, as somehow being a part of that, so that then he could be somehow in complete control and then just take everything over.
That was what you got from 2 watchings?
Yeah, but I don't. But now even again, I'm
That
like,
doesn't make sense either, though. Really,
we can't trust that guy anyway because he is a Maquis defector. Later on in his career, what happens is like he leaves. He gets arrested in this episode or whatever. Right? They take him away, and then he
Yeah.
breaks out of jail, is frozen for like hundreds of years, and then
Oh.
he's working on Deep Space Nine.
Whoa.
As an officer, and then he defects with the Maquis, which I don't know if you know about the Maquis, but
Yeah.
they're Federation citizens, But there's this treaty that the Federation has with the Cardassians that says, like, hey, okay, you can still occupy this militarized zone even though it's Federation territory if you continue to engage with peace with us, you know? And that pisses off all the citizens that were in that zone because they're like, the Cardassians are still fucking with us. And so the Maquis develop as a kind of a splinter group, rebels against the Federation and the Cardassians. This guy defects to the Maquis later in this character's story, so it's all bullshit, you know? But
So
suffice to say, the ocean will not win for hundreds of years because it is the same character from Baywatch that I'm describing.
Right.
And the ocean still hasn't taken over the Earth in like 2400.
That's
so
true.
We have time.
But he has killed all the whales.
Yes, that, right.
So, okay, well, I guess that concludes.
Yeah, and I'll play you out with our little clip to summarize our episode here.
Right.
Funny shit from the Bay.
Have a good day. Don't get wet.
All right.
What kind of a lifeguard are you?
I don't go in the water, Jill, unless it's hot, soapy, and Aretha's keeping me company on the radio.
I'm okay. I hit my head. I saw monkeys. I'm telling you, man, you need help.
Oh, by the way, the show is over, but you can find us at Baywatching P on Twitter, at Baywatching Podcast on Instagram.
Another episode of Baywatching.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Mommy.